Hello guys, Tops here. Today I have something special to say. And there's something that is not really clear. And I think the main problem is that it is not correctly stated in the Battle Brothers wiki. And that is basically how to chain route your opponents. And first and foremost, in order to chain route your opponents, you have to trigger negative moral checks on them. How you trigger negative moral checks on them? You walk into the zone of control that might make them wavering, breaking, or fleeing. That might trigger one moral check. You have to hit them for 15 or more hit point damage. Only 1 hit point damage if you have the fearsome perk. Or when you kill an opponent, there's also a moral check triggered, right? And it is more likely if it was a strong. So, for instance, if you kill a brigand leader, the chance that the brigand thugs will lose their moral is higher than if you would just kill a brigand thug, right? All right, so, and of course, guys, an ancient priest, but this does not apply for the player. So, how to chain route your opponents. And there's something, the key thing that is actually missing in this thing, and this is already stated in the Battle Brothers wiki. It is an outdated article that does not take into account the last 2 updates. And the thing that is not stated, if your opponent, if they fail a moral check, that triggers a moral check itself to surrounding opponents, as well for your opponents, but also for you. So if one of your bros fails a moral check and goes from breaking to fleeing, that might also trigger a moral check for your own bros, for other bros around him, right? So basically, and that's kind of the chain route mechanic. Sometimes it happens with fearsome, but also without fearsome. You don't need fearsome to chain route your opponents. If you kill an opponent, let's say there are 10 thugs, you kill one of the thugs. Now, another thug goes from steady to breaking, or let's say from steady to wavering. So he failed a moral check. That procs another moral check. So the thug next to him is already wavering, which reduces the resolve, by the way, which makes it more likely that he goes to breaking. Now he failed the moral check. Now he is breaking. The thug next to him was already breaking. Now he fails a moral check. And another moral check is blocked because he failed, right? The bro next to him failed, the other thug. And now he goes from breaking to fleeing, which triggers another moral check to the opponents that are surrounding him. And then, the other thugs that are wavering or breaking might start fleeing as well. And this is basically how you chain route opponents. Just triggering these moral checks, right? So walking onto their tiles, killing them, or doing a lot of HP damage. This will trigger the moral checks, and when they fail, a lot of opponents will lose their moral as well. And then if opponents are fleeing or getting slayed, you basically, sometimes the game will lag a little bit, and then you have like 10 opponents fleeing that weren't fleeing literally a second before. That's how you chain route opponents. Yeah, just triggering these moral checks, and then as soon as they start failing moral checks and they go from wavering to breaking to fleeing, they will start breaking. The beauty about this is this works better with higher opponents. So actually, the more opponents you fight, the more likely it is for your opponents to break, because you will trigger more moral checks, right? Like it stacks exponentially, basically. It grows exponentially. The more opponents you have, the more likely it is they're gonna fail moral checks and you're gonna chain route them. That goes especially for goblins and especially for orcs. Also for brigands, for opponents that already have a fairly low base moral and are really, really prone to fail moral checks, right? Because they have low resolve in the in the first place. And these are, for the majority, goblins, orcs, and brigands. Kind of works for nomads too, but nomads are harder to route. Works for mercenaries and noble houses. Also, those guys have not the highest resolve and are fairly easy to chain route, but they have bannermans in bigger battles a lot of the time, so they can rally themselves. Same with the orc warlords, they can get rallied as well. And this is just something to keep in mind, how that actually works. And the beauty about this is you can chain route your opponents without fearsome. And it's pretty simple. If you have a lot of guys who can berserk with killing frenzy, you're gonna kill a lot of opponents. And that makes it more likely that you will chain route your opponents. Does the same trick as having like a bunch of fatigue neutrals with fearsome, or just a bunch of bros with fearsome, right? Yeah. And I think this is all I want to say, guys. And thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video, guys. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.